Harper Audio presents Heroic Conservatism, Why Republicans Need to Embrace America's Ideals and Why They Deserve to Fail If They Don't, by Michael J. Gerson. Read by Alan Nebelthau. Copyright 2007 by Michael J. Gerson. Production copyright 2007 by HarperCollins Publishers.
Chapter 1. Heroic Conservatism. Sometimes in government, the most dramatic and noble events come disguised as endless meetings, what might be called the banality of goodness. The President sat as usual in his blue and yellow striped chair at the right of the fireplace in the Oval Office. Much of his senior staff gathered on couches and chairs around the coffee table. The topic for this policy time, on the afternoon of November 18th, 2002, was a proposal that had been kept carefully hidden from much of the government. An emergency plan to provide AIDS treatment and prevention to Africans on a massive scale. 4 months before, Deputy Chief of Staff Josh Bolten had given instructions to experts at the National Institutes of Health to think big. The plan under discussion, crafted by a brilliant NIH researcher named Mark Dybel, was designed to reach 2 million people with life-saving drugs, prevent 7 million new infections, and provide compassionate care to 10 million AIDS victims and the orphans they leave behind. It would be the largest health initiative to combat a single disease in history. As the plan was developed, only a few people were brought in on the secret. The small team at NIH working on the project had been instructed by the White House to talk to no one. At early stages, not even the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tommy Thompson, or the National Security Advisor, Condoleezza Rice, had been informed. Bolten, his staff, researchers at the National Institutes of Health, and I were engaged in a humanitarian conspiracy to prevent an ambitious plan from being watered down or bogged down in the normal, inertial processes of government. The plan was not only ambitious, it was controversial. Smaller attempts to ramp up AIDS treatment in Africa had accomplished little. In Botswana, a 3-year effort had resulted in only 200 people on AIDS drugs. When eventually informed about the final NIH plan, officials at the Office of Management and Budget and some officials at the National Security Council were highly skeptical. At $15 billion over 5 years, the plan cost too much. The infrastructure to deliver drugs didn't exist. This kind of foreign aid spending had never been done successfully before. Why would this be an exception? The Centers for Disease Control, smarting at not being consulted, dismissed the approach as half-baked. In the Oval Office, the President focused on the details of implementation in a businesslike manner, attempting to poke holes in the proposal. It doesn't matter how good the goal is if it doesn't work. Will this work? The policy experts responded by describing an innovative network model, which would deliver drugs through layers of satellite medical centers, even by motorcycle to distant villages. Unlike past foreign aid programs, the plan would set specific goals and tie money to performance. At least we would know if it worked or it didn't. This emphasis on the treatment of AIDS in the developing world was the great risk and originality of the plan. Global health experts, to that point, had generally put their hope in prevention. People with AIDS were considered already lost, extending their lives a costly, uncertain venture and a poor investment. On this issue, during the meeting, Condoleezza Rice showed a rare flash of emotion. "My mother," she said, "was diagnosed with cancer when I was a teenager. She got treatment and lived until I was 30. You bet those years meant something to me, and they would mean something to every African child whose mother lives to take care of them." The discussion of detail had given way, for me, to a sense of history. During the 20th century, in other government meetings, in other rooms in Berlin, Moscow, and Beijing, political decisions were calmly debated and made that resulted in genocide and the deaths of millions. Now, in a room where I sat, a decision was pending that could save the lives of millions. It was a vivid reminder of the reach
Sample complete. Ready to continue?